It's the biggest win in Indiana school history. This would have tied the game for Ohio State, but Jaden Fielding just absolutely shanked it from 27 yards out. Are you kidding me? No, I'm not. Then, last chance for the Buckeyes. Julian Sayin airs it out. And Jeremiah Smith actually comes down with it, but it doesn't matter because Kurt Cignetti and Indiana take down number 1 Ohio State 13-10. And Indiana will be number 1 in the AP poll for the first time in school history. More importantly, this season they will be number 1 in the college football playoff ranking. Indiana snaps a streak of 30 straight losses to the Buckeyes. They had not beat Ohio State since 1988. None of the players on this team were alive. Kurt Cignetti said, it doesn't matter the streak. We're changing the mindset. We're changing the culture. And what did they do in this game against Julian Sayin? They sacked him 5 times in this game. Consider he was sacked just 7 times the entire regular season. Indiana, Big Ten champions for the first time in school history, winning the championship game. They won a couple others, but this is their first Big Ten championship victory. And again, Ohio State losing its first game of the season, snapping a 16-game win streak dating back to the loss against Michigan last season. This Big Ten Championship postgame report is presented by Capital One, here with former Penn State tight end Adam Brenneman and CBS Sports college football insider Richard Johnson. You guys both know I am a massive Ohio State fan. Julian Sayin was rattled in this game, sacked 5 times. But my goodness, Adam, Fernando Heisman-Doza, 2:30 to play in this game. 3rd and 6 to Charlie Becker. You want to talk about a big-time play? That was the Heisman moment right there for Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah, for Mendoza, it wasn't just a Heisman moment. It's a program-defining moment.
Yep.
Think about how big this is for Indiana. Year 2 for Kirk Cignetti. It's really remarkable. One of the best coaching jobs we have seen in the history of college football. And Cignetti has gotten Fernando Mendoza to play as well as any quarterback in college football. I mean, Mendoza clinched the Heisman Trophy with this performance, and it wasn't lights out at all times, but it was clutch when it had to be. And that throw that you mentioned there on the final drive to seal the game against the best defense in the country. This was an Ohio State defense with 4 first-round draft picks that has great defensive line, pass rushers, and Mendoza was calm all game.
Right after the game, Fernando Mendoza on the field, I think, explained what it is about this program that makes it so special under Kurt Cignetti. It's not sexy, it's not flashy, it's efficient, it's competent, it's well-coached, and it wins. At the end of the day, they are physical, and they move people up front. They've moved Oregon a month and a half ago, and they moved Ohio State tonight. Indiana is just so impressive under Kurt Cignetti, what they have built. There's no smoke and mirrors here. There's no razzle-dazzle. It's just meat and potatoes, blue-collar football, and it just won the Big Ten.
Are you okay, Hakeem? Are you feeling okay after that,
No,
after that loss?
I'm not. I mean, and look,
check in on you.
I said this all week long. Ohio State hadn't seen a quarterback back like this all season long. This is a different quarterback. And you saw, like, first play of the game, right? They knock him out for a play. They knock Fernando Mendoza out of the game for one play. He comes back. And then, look, he wasn't lights out in the first half. It was the second half where it was the difference for Fernando Mendoza. That was the difference in the second half, was what he did on the field. Yeah,
I mean, Mendoza made plays when they had to be made in the second half. But to me, it was really the other side of the ball for Indiana that was the most impressive.
Oh, disruptive.
I mean, you talk about holding Ohio State to 58 yards rushing. Ohio State had 4 trips to the red zone, only had 1 touchdown. They were in Julian Sayin's face all day. That allowed Fernando Mendoza to not have to do too much, to just kind of control the game, not have to push the ball down the field too much. And all the talk will be about Mendoza, rightfully so, but that Indiana defense is elite.
Well, Mendoza, both quarterbacks were under duress, but Mendoza was under duress a lot in this game. He was running backwards in the pocket at some point in time in this game. Ohio State's swarming pass rush obviously was getting after him and affecting him. But Indiana up front, I mean, you just cannot say enough. Ohio State, I thought, really struggled to block Indiana with the different movement patterns that they have up front with those defensive linemen. It's hard to get a hat on a hat and keep a hat on a hat for an entire play. And they were getting after Julian Sain, speeding him up a little bit and just being better at the point of attack.
All right, so Ohio State late in the third quarter, 4th and 1. We think Julian Sain picks up the first down. Thought he got a couple of yards. They review it. He was short, turnover on downs. Could have kicked a field goal there, tied the game. Then 4th and 1 in the fourth quarter, 27 yards out. It's a chip shot for Jaden Fielding, and he just shanked it. I mean, sometimes you need in these big games, you need a little bit of luck. And Indiana dominated on the defensive line. I get it. They sacked Julian Sain, but for that field goal to get missed from 27 yards, and I know Radicic missed a field goal earlier in the game as well, but that moment right there, that was massive, missing that field goal, because now you're putting all the pressure back on your defense to shut it down.
Yeah, it was Ohio State's chance to tie the game. I mean, I can't believe he missed that field goal.
Either can I.
But to be honest, I think that's a mistake by Ryan Day.
You do? Okay.
Let's think about the situation. It's 4th down and 1. Okay, you're in the red zone. You have Julian Sain at quarterback. You have a run game that has been good all season, been struggling in this game. You also have the best receivers in the country outside, and you get a chance there to go try to win the game against Indiana in the conference championship game. I think deciding to kick the field goal on 4th and 1 is a weak call. I think analytics probably tell you to go for it there and try to win the game, try to go up by a touchdown right there, especially with the playmakers that you have. I think Ryan Day mismanaged that and put his team in a bad position.
Do you think, though, he had like a little bit of PTSD there because they went
one?
right
Yeah.
because of the previous one, right? We went for it on 4th and 1. We got stopped, so let's kick the field goal because we need 3 to potentially send this to overtime.
Yeah, but then, and I guess maybe that, if we miss, they got 90 yards to drive or what have you. They also had timeouts in the pocket too. It was an interesting call for sure.
So you think it was mismanaged there? You would have went for it on 4th and 1.
For sure. And really, all those coaches listen to the analytics. Usually, anytime it's 4th down and 1, the analytics almost always tell you to go for it.
Right.
Especially, the point is not to tie the game. The point is to win the football game. And you're Ohio State, 1 yard in the red zone, and you got a new set of downs to go take the lead in the Big Ten championship game. I just don't know why you're playing for a tie right there.
And last week, you proved your physicality. Last week, you proved your mettle against Michigan. You proved that you can do that, and you can ice a game and finish a game on the ground like that.
All right. I got to be a pro here, and I'm going to be a pro. And here's why. Because Curt Cignetti, in 2 seasons, has won a Big Ten championship. Their first Big Ten championship in school history. They've won 3 Big Ten titles, but this is their first Big Ten championship. He's lost 2 games. He's 24-2. They lost last season to Ohio State, then they lost to Notre Dame in the first round of the college football playoff. This team is better than the one from 1 year ago, and this team is nasty because this was 1 versus 2 in terms of defense. Yeah. Ohio State gets all the credit for defense, less than 7 points per game, right, or 8 points per game. This defense for IU is nasty. And consider that Omar Cooper Jr. was banged up in this game. Their defense from both defensive line and their secondary, I mean, they hassled. They were harassing Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate. Like, it was a defense they hadn't seen all season.
Well, and the other thing is last year in this game, when these two teams played last year at the Horseshoe, you found out how far away Indiana was as a program for the true upper echelon in the Big Ten and the college football overall. In this game, you realize that Indiana is the upper echelon of college football. It's incredible what they've been able to build and what they've been able to put in. And consider last year, Caleb Downs returns that punt and special teams help Ohio State and push them to the victory. Tonight, they lose the game on special teams with the missed field goal. I almost called it an extra point because it was so close.
That's what it looked like,
right? That's what it felt like. Look, credit to Curt Cignetti. I mean, the culture that he's built, the guys that he's went and got, Fernando Mendoza, the transfer from Cal, I mean, had his Heisman moment. You heard him post-game, how, of course, what a moment this was, finding Charlie Becker. Now you look at Indiana in a different light when they take down the #1 team in the nation, the defending national champs. Indiana can win a national championship. It wasn't a question even coming into this game. They're that good. They have shrunk the disparity, Richard, as you said. This is a team that could just absolutely take the wind out of your sails because that's what they did against Ohio State.
Think about how crazy of a comment that would have been 2 years ago.
Right.
Indiana can win a national championship. The number one thing Kirk Cinetti has done is he's given that entire community and now his players confidence at all times. Those guys play confident. The way Fernando Mendoza plays. How about the receiver, Charlie Becker? I mean, had 130 yards in this game receiving. The defensive line and how they fly around. Kirk Cinetti has given that program belief, confidence, completely changed the trajectory of Indiana football forever. It is absolutely remarkable, Richard.
Right, the second losing the second most losses in FBS history behind only Northwestern or Big Ten history. Right, like to talk about where they've come from to now where they're at. I mean, this is incredible turnaround from Curt Cignetti. And we saw James Madison, and we saw what he does. It's also a product of the era that we're in as well, right? 10 years ago, I don't know if you pull this off. Now you are playing to the strengths of the system, and you're using it to maximum capability, and this is what it looks like in Bloomington.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing here is there are a lot of programs that have one-season blips, right? There are a lot of programs that, you have a nice one season, and then you go back to where you classically were in the history of the sport. Not Indiana. They have gotten better, as you stated, from last season when they were pretty doggone good enough to make the college football playoff last season. It's incredible for them to level up from last season. Walking off the field in South Bend last season, Curt Cignetti and athletic director Scott Dolson were already talking amongst themselves about what they needed to make sure that they could take the next step. That's what Dolson told me back in October. And hey, they have absolutely paid off those investments, 100%.
My favorite thing is that Cignetti doubled down and is staying in Indiana. I mean, when it's a great signal that when you get the resources at the highest level, when you invest and there's alignment in your administration, man, you can win and compete for a national title. I think a lot of programs around the country can learn from what Indiana's done. The other thing he's done, though, Cignetti has brought an elite coaching staff with him as well. I mean, how about Brian Haynes, the defensive coordinator for Indiana? It's time he gets some more love too, because what he just did against the best receivers in the country and Julian Sayin and had him seeing chaos back there at quarterback is really impressive.
Brought a great coaching staff with him, kept that great coaching staff together. Only one coach from last year is not with them this year. This wild, crazy coaching carousel we've been through, unlike any coaching carousel. You didn't hear anything about the Indiana assistant coaches on that coaching carousel. It ain't because they can't coach. It's because Indiana locked them down as part of the package that was the extension that Curt Cignetti signed earlier this season. When Scott Dolson walked in to Curt Cignetti's office when he was watching film and he said, "Hey, Curt, can I talk to your representatives? I think Penn State, I think Adam Brenneman's Penn State may be calling you." And Curt said, "Yeah, I want to retire here." And within 48 hours, they got that extension done.
One remaining undefeated team. Now Indiana, the number one team. They win the Big Ten championship. Perhaps the Heisman Trophy has already been decided. Fernando Heisman-Doza. So the remaining question is, where does Ohio State slot? 3 or 4? Do they slot in behind Texas Tech at 4, or do they jump Texas Tech because they only have one loss and Texas Tech only has one loss and they won a conference championship? Where are you putting the Buckeyes in the top 4?
Well, you know where I want to put them. I want to put them out in the top 4 because I want some jeopardy for this Big Ten championship loss. But they will probably end up in front of Texas Tech because their loss is, it's probably the best loss anybody's taken the entire season.
Yeah.
You agree?
I got them at 3 ahead of Texas Tech. Tech's losses to Arizona State. This one for Ohio State's to the Big Ten champion.
Good. I wanted to be number 3 because then I get to face the winner of potentially Tulane and Ole Miss. So I'll take that. I'll take my chances. All right. Congratulations to Indiana. Hey, congrats to Max and Brett, graphics and research and production and all my guys all up there. They love Indiana. Max is our researcher. Brett, he's cutting this game. He's cutting the highlight. I'm sure he's elated right now, as everybody is in Bloomington, as Indiana does something it's never done before, winning the Big Ten championship game for the first time in school history. It's their 3rd title in conference play, first since 1967. That was a split title. Whatever, those are still recognized, but this is the biggest win in Indiana football history. Curt Cignetti and the Indiana Hoosiers taking down number 1 and previously undefeated and defending national champion Ohio State to win the Big Ten championship. Back here on CBS Sports HQ, presented by Capital One. Number 1 versus number 2, and second-ranked Indiana takes down the top-ranked Buckeyes. Julian Sayin taken down multiple times, sacked 5 times in this game, and a chance to tie it right here from 27 yards out, and Jaden Fielding missed it. And Fernando Mendoza picked up a huge first down on their next drive to seal the game for Indiana as they knock off the Buckeyes 13-10, right back out to the site. Welcome in our 2 quarterbacks, former ACC Player of the Year Danny Cannell and Ohio State national champ Cardale Jones. Cardale, first off, just your reaction to how that game played out as Ohio State comes up short, and Indiana, huge congratulations to that program, the biggest win in program history.
You know what, you got to give credit where credit is due, Hakeem. This Indiana team came out here firing and going blow for blow with Ohio State and really outlasting Ohio State in the type of game they're used to playing. Look at the second half of that game. Ohio State wasn't able to get anything going, and that's solely in the fact of how physical Indiana was on both sides of the ball.
That was the thing that jumped out to me. I mean, in the pregame, we said one of the keys to the game was make Julian Sayin uncomfortable. And after getting after him all night, I mean, they had 5 sacks in the third quarter. It was pretty evident that Julian Sayin was under duress for the first time all season, really, and it impacted the game. But I think the physicality of this Indiana Hoosier team was the thing that really jumped out and surprised everyone, including the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah, Julian Sayin sacked 5 times in this game, sacked 7 times in the regular season. And also, Cardale, some decision-making at question here from Ryan Day, right? 4th and 1 in the third quarter, Sayin with the quarterback sneak. They think they pick up the first down. After review, he was short, turnover on downs there. You could have kicked the field goal. Then he elects to kick the field goal in the 4th quarter. Jaden Fielding missed it. Would you have kicked the field goal in that situation?
Well, you had 2 situations where Ohio State came up on 4th and 1, and it really was a do-or-die type of situation. Like you mentioned, Hakeem, the quarterback sneak didn't go that way. But if I was Ohio State, I would have done the things that continue to get me in this position to be here tonight. And we've seen Ohio State all year round continue to go for it on 4th and short. In scenarios like this, you go back to the Illinois game, you go back to the Michigan game last week. So if I'm Ryan Day, I'm continuing to stick to the script, and I would have probably went for it on that 4th down field goal attempt for 27 yards.
That's the thing. 4th and 1, and had an opportunity to go for it, but instead you tried to kick it. This is supposed to be one of the most talented teams in the entire country, right? You're supposed to be the team that is able to impose your will against an Indiana team, and you chose to put the decision in the leg of your kicker, and then we saw what happens. I don't trust college kickers anytime. I don't care how much of a chip shot it looks like, and I'm sure that's a decision that will be questioned of Ryan Day after this game and all the way leading up to the playoffs when they take the field again. It's going to be, why did you decide to do that? But hindsight's always 20/20, right? Yeah. If he makes that, all of a sudden it's a completely different complexion. It's a tie game. It's tough to second-guess them, but I do think that's one where you got to trust your players to make plays, especially that offensive line and Bo Jackson.
And Fernando Mendoza made the plays. He didn't have a stat line that will knock your socks off, right? But he made a throw, Cardale, that perhaps wins him the Heisman Trophy. 3rd and 6, 33 yards to Charlie Becker. What did you see in that moment, and just your takeaway from what Fernando Mendoza did in this game?
You know, we talk about Heisman moments, and I thought at one point in the game, Ohio State was going to get the ball back before that long 3rd down conversion that Fernando Mendoza had up the right side of the sideline. Gave me personal flashbacks of last year's national championship game, Ohio State icing the game versus Notre Dame with the same type of throw from Will Howard to Jeremiah Smith. And when you're talking about Heisman Trophy caliber players, they have to show up at the biggest moment of the game. And Fernando Mendoza did with that 3rd and long throw where if I'm Curt Cinetti, I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm putting the game in my Heisman Trophy candidate, and I think with that throw, he might have locked it down, and you cannot deny his impact on this team and the way he's just lead the team all throughout the game.
What was fascinating was watching the Heisman odds throughout the game. At one point early in the second quarter, Diego Pavia was leading the Heisman Trophy race, and Mendoza was dropping down. But his touchdown pass, beautiful touchdown pass in the second quarter, all of a sudden he started creeping up. And then with that third down, game on the line, your coach, your team, they put it on your shoulders, and you deliver that type of throw in that moment to seal the Big Ten championship, I think it's done. I think Fernando Mendoza is the Heisman in a landslide because of his performance tonight.
Yeah, he's now listed at minus 3,000 to win the Heisman Trophy. Fernando Heisman Mendoza, put it on a T-shirt because it's about to happen. Look, Cardale, what Indiana has done in the last 2 seasons under Curt Cignetti is remarkable. What did this win mean for Indiana? What did it mean for Curt Cignetti knocking off Ohio State to complete a perfect regular season and top it off with a college championship here in the Big Ten championship, and now going to lock up the #1 ranking in the CFP?
Well, first of all, you gotta give credit to credit is due. Congratulations to the Indiana team and this Curt Cignetti coaching staff, because for 2 years he had completely transformed this program. And me and Danny talked about it all pregame. Who do we think this win means more for, the Ohio State fan base or the Indiana fan base? I can tell you something right now. After this game, through the trophy presentation, no Indiana fan was leaving this stadium because they wanted to celebrate with this team. I think after this, when the clock was 0-0-0, we saw who this fan base and what this win means more to.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, they're still here. They're right here. They're all the fans are right here. They're still celebrating. And I think this was such a signature win for this Indiana team that really just kind of put an exclamation point on what's been a phenomenal season. And you could see the emotion in Curt Cignetti's eyes when he was done with this game. He was so and he's not very emotional, but he just felt like this was an emphatic win that he had this time. So it was a phenomenal win for Curt Cignetti to show that they absolutely had a phenomenal.
And we got some IU players who are ready to join us with that biggest catch of the day. Jumping in this situation where you're talking about the game is on the line and Fernando Mendoza decides to go to a guy he hasn't been throwing the ball to all year with an injury to Cooper Jr. I mean, it's been remarkable what we've seen from this team so far.
No doubt about it. Charlie Becker, talk us a little bit coming into this game. What was your guys' mindset? Because not many people gave you much of a chance. And you guys were undefeated, #2 team in the country. What was the mindset coming in?
Yes, sir. I mean, it was a lot of hard work and preparation. All glory to God, first of all. Without him, none of this would be possible. And I'm just blessed that he was able to allow my team to come out here and play the best of our abilities. But, we always knew we were capable of it. And, Coach Sig preached on that all the time. We believe it. We know it. We're not even the underdog. We're the dogs.
I love that mindset. Fernando Mendoza, I think he's going to win the Heisman now. What did it mean for you guys to deliver for him on this stage?
I'm so truly blessed. I'm his roommate right now, and I was roommates with his brother, Alberto Mendoza, our freshman year in the dorms. And, so as soon as Fernando came on, we went in the indoor in the spring at 5:36 in the morning to be able to see Fernando, all of his hard work that he's put in, be able to, come to fruition is just truly amazing and blessed.
The Big Ten championship is one thing, and that's this is unbelievable for Indiana as a program. But what would mean even more is a national championship. How much are you guys able to enjoy this but still keep your eye on the even bigger prize of things to come?
Yes, sir. We got 24 hours of, enjoying this win, and then it's back to the grind, back to work, and scouting the next opponent.
No doubt about it, man. Congratulations on the win. Phenomenal performance. Really happy for you guys. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. You got it.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Cardale Jones, Danny Cannell, joined by Charlie Becker. 6 catches, 126 yards. The most important catch he had was the last one, a 33-yard pickup to essentially seal the game. The ball tossed to him from his roommate and Heisman Trophy favorite, Fernando Mendoza, at minus 3,000. It looks like a quarterback will win the award. Once again, Fernando Mendoza and the Hoosiers winning the Big Ten championship for the first time in school history.